In this video, I'll be creating my go-to makeup look. This look was actually requested by one of my subscribers. One of my most recent videos, I had a look that she really loved and she really enjoyed it, and she requested for me to create it. So here we are. So I like to start off with my brows. I'm a brow before anything else type girl. So I'm going to get just a little brow spoolie and just make sure all my brows are brushed up in one direction. Now I like to use a brow pencil to do my brows. Occasionally I do use powder, but for this look I did use a brow pencil. The brow pencil I use is from Benefit. It is the Brow Styler. I like to start off with tracing the bottom portion of my brow. Now that I have the initial shape of my brow, I like to fill in the tip of my brow. As for the front part of the brow, I usually take the flat part, go at the bottom of the brow, and then just kind of flick up to kind of like fill it in a little bit. It's not really a dark fill in. It's just pretty much pushing the products up and then kind of allowing it to naturally ombre. Once I have that to my liking, I just pretty much take the same spoolie that I used earlier and then just kind of brush everything in. So when I'm going for like this soft glam everyday makeup look, I don't like to apply too much product to my brows. Now if I'm going for more of a bolder, deeper look, then I fill my brows in a little bit more. Once I have my brows to my liking, I like to set my brows with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Freeze Gel. When I apply the product, I like to brush my brows down to kind of evenly coat the product on that side, and then I go back and brush my brows upward to apply the product on the other side, so that I know that I have a generous amount of product on my brows. Once the product is on my brows, I flip the applicator over, and then I like to use the shorter bristles to kind of shape and press my brows into my skin. Now that my brows are pressed upward, I just use the short end of the applicator and just kind of shape them and brush them in the angle that I want them to be. Once the product is applied, then I like to take my finger and just kind of wipe off any of that excess around my brows. Now that the brows are done, we're going to move on to the primer. For this look, I did use two primers. The first primer I used was from LoReal, which is a hydrating moisturizing primer. I used one pump of that, and I just went ahead and applied it all over my face. The second primer that I use is from Huda Beauty, is the Easy Blur Primer. When it comes to this primer, I pretty much just focus it in my T-zone, and then I just bring it outward. Now I'm just going to take my brown liner. You could just take any brow eyeliner that you have. The one that I'm using is from Makeup Geek. She no longer sells makeup anymore, so you can just use any brown liner. And I'm going to tightline my upper waterline. So right now I'm just going to apply a little lip oil because my lips are a little dry. You can use any lip oil, but the one I'm using is from Fenty Beauty. Okay, now we're about to move on to the concealer. The concealer I'm using is from Huda Beauty. It's the False Filter Corrector Concealer. And I'm just going to apply a couple of dots under my eye. So I like to apply that under my eye, and then while I allow that to dry up and set a little bit, I just kind of move on to other parts of my face. So the parts that I like to move on is my contour. The contour palette that I use is from Iconic London. This is a little rough, but I have had it for a while. I'm almost done with it. And then I have a new one as a backup. I usually use this color here at the bottom middle, but since I am out of it, I just mix these two colors together to kind of get that ideal shade. The brush that I use is from Vanessa Myricks. It is the Yummy Face brush. Now I really like this brush. I just recently got it not too long ago, probably a few weeks ago. The bristles on this brush is so soft and you can use it all over your face. So I'm just going to apply the contour in the areas that I usually do, which is around the perimeter of my forehead, to just kind of make it smaller a little bit, and then right here in my cheek area. Using a medium-sized blending brush, eyeshadow blending brush, I'm going to take a little bit more of that product that I mixed together and just pretty much focus it in the crease of my eye. Now you really don't have to be precise with this since we are doing the underpainting method. A lot of this is going to be covered, not necessarily covered up, but blended out and look better as we blend everything together. And now I'm just going to move on to my foundation. The foundation I use is the Elf Camo CC Cream, the Color Correcting Full Coverage Natural Finish Foundation. Now this foundation is thick, okay? A little bit goes a long way. Taking the same brush, if you feel like you have too much contour left over on your brush, just wipe it off. What I like to do is just brush it against my hand. If I notice there's a lot of contour on it, then I take a paper towel, but it's really not that much left on the brush, so I'm just going to go ahead and dip it into the foundation. For me, I like to start off in my jawline and just press the product in. And you notice as I'm pressing the product into my contour, how it's like blending really nicely. That's pretty much all I'm doing. And then I bring it down under my chin and down my neck. If you need to bring it into your ear, that's fine, but I like to bring it down my neck just to make sure that everything blends nicely. I also don't want that cutoff line, especially if you stop like at the bottom of your face. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and blend out my under eye, and yes, I'm going to use the same brush. And I'm just going to press it in. Now, if you notice that when I was blending out the color corrector, I didn't add any extra product because this foundation is so thick. You don't want that under your eye. So whatever product that was left on the brush, just let it be and just blend that out. So now I'm going to move up to my forehead. At this point, I'm going to add a little bit more products, just pretty much whatever that's like blended on the back of my hand, and I'm just going to press that into my forehead. Wherever I applied the contour, I didn't apply any foundation. I just kind of pressed it and blended those two colors together so that it won't be too heavy of a face. So whatever extra product you have on the back of your hand, I do have a nice little amount here. I'm just going to take a flat concealer brush, pick up that product, and shape out the bottom part of my brow. Now at this point, I want to brighten things up just a little bit. So I'm going to take my Makeup Forever Ultra HD Light Capturing Self Setting Concealer, and I'm going to apply a little bit right here on the inner corner of my eye. And then I'm just going to do a little swipe going up to kind of help shape my eyes to go up that way. A little bit on my chin, down my nose, and then bring it up right here in the center of my forehead. Now I'm just going to let that sit a little bit, let it dry down. And while I wait for that, I'm going to take my LoReal Voluminous primer, my mascara or eyelash primer, and apply it to my lashes. Taking the same brush that I used before, I'm just going to pat out this concealer. If you notice, everything that I'm doing is in a patting motion. Next, I'm going to apply my blush. The blush I am using is from Huda Beauty. It is the Blush Filter Liquid Blush. I'm just going to apply a few dots. Okay, so when I apply blush, I usually apply it right here in this area, and then I blend it down into my cheek towards the center of my face. I don't like to apply my blush directly in the center of my face. That's just the style that I go for in a way that I like it. Now that my blush is applied, I'm just going to press it with the same brush, girl. We ain't changing nothing up. We is not switching anything up. So I'm just going to press that right here, kind of in my temple, on my lid a bit. So this is kind of giving like a 2-in-1. You got kind of give me a little bit of eyeshadow. I'll bring whatever extra product that is left over down into my cheek area. All of my cream products is on my face, so now we just have to set everything. When it comes to me setting my face with powder, I like to start on my under eye, inner corner under eye, and then just kind of bring everything out. So that's where we're starting. Before I start with the setting powder, I do like to use the Juvia's Place Ready Set Seal Setting Spray as a layer underneath the powder, just to give a little bit of extra hydration, because the setting powder that I am going to be using is a very matte setting powder. So before I apply my setting powder, I'm just going to press and make sure that there's no creases. With a clean piece of puff, I'm just going to press some of that setting powder. The setting powder I'm using is from Huda Beauty. It's the Easy Bake setting powder. Tap any excess off on the back of my hand and then press it under my eye. Now, if you don't mind a full matte face, then you can continue to apply the setting powder, the Huda Beauty setting powder, but I'm not going to apply this on my entire face. I'm going to switch it up and use a different setting powder. So my go-to setting powder for the rest of my face is the Hourglass Translucent Veil. That is my go-to setting powder. However, I am out of it and I'm waiting for the Sephora sale so I can get the discount on it. Right now, I'm going to use the Pretty Vulgar. This is the Powder Room. This is what I used for that makeup look that I did in that video. So this is what I'm going to use now. Pretty much going to load this big, fluffy powder brush. I'm just going to load that brush up with that powder. I'm going to tap it straight up so that the powder can kind of set within the bristles. Once the product is in the bristles, that's all the product that I'm going to use on my face. I am going to press it. Everything is like in a pressing motion. I'm just going to press it into my skin. Don't forget your neck because you did apply product there. Everything is pressed into my skin. I'm just going to take that same brush and just brush everything out and away. Now I'm going to do everything that I did to my face, but I'm going to do it again with powder. I'm going to take my favorite fluffy brush. This is just a large fluffy brush. And the setting powder that I just used from Pretty Vulgar, I'm just going to apply that on my lid just to make sure that everything is smooth and set from the creams that I applied earlier. I'm going to take another blending brush. This is the Morphe M433 and I'm taking my Makeup Forever Artist Sculpt. And this I use to contour my face, and I also use the same powder on my lid. So I just take a little bit of the product on my brush and just pretty much applying it where I applied the cream contour. So I'm not going to use too much product because I see the contour peeking through from where I applied it earlier. But this is just to give it just a little bit extra, just to make sure that you can still see it. Now I'm going to take a fluffy fan brush, the same powder that I used earlier, apply it to the fan brush, tap a lot of that product off, dust it lightly where I applied the cream contour. Now if you feel like you need a little bit more blush, I feel like I need a little bit more blush. You can go back with the Huda Beauty cream blush. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to add a couple more dots. This is one of the reasons why I really like this blush. You can apply it on top of the powder and it does not lift what you put down. With the same brush that I used earlier, I'm just going to press that blush into my skin like I did earlier. Another good thing with being able to apply the cream blush, it kind of gives you like that sheen, that glowiness that you had before you applied the powder. So I really like that. I like to go back with my brow pencil and just apply a little bit more product on the tip of my brows. Since I'm doing like a lot of blending and things of that nature, especially when it comes to the blush, and I like to blend my blush into my brows and my eyelid, I do like to apply a little bit more product, not much, just to kind of give it shape back. And I like to go back over my brows with a different brow gel. This is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is just a clear brow gel, and I like to apply this on my brows, especially after I apply powder, to kind of help dust away and get rid of that white cast from the setting powders. Now we're about to move on to the mascara. So if you remember, we've already applied the mascara primer. I like to do this early in the makeup application because I've noticed that once the primer dries down, it gives you like an extra length than it would if the primer was still wet. So now that the primer is dried down, this is a perfect time for me to apply my mascara. Oh yeah, and I forgot to tell you, the mascara that I'm using is from One Size Fantasize mascara. To be honest, you can use any mascara. It's not anything special. This is just what I'm using now. Now we're going to move on to my lips. I just wiped off the gloss that I had on earlier. Now my lips are very simple, and when it comes to the silk press seasons, I don't wear glosses too much because my hair is getting stuck in my lip gloss, and then it ruins my hairstyle, makes my hair oily and slick in certain areas. I like to use not a matte, it's more of like it's more like a lip stain. So as for my liner, I line my lips with the Dominique lip liner in Crush. So as for my lips, I use the L'Oreal Paris Makeup Rouge Signature Matte Stain in I Create. Now, I'm going to be real with you guys. When it comes to this lip stain, they do not sell it anymore. I believe it's discontinued with L'Oreal. However, they do still sell it on Amazon. Okay, so now I am going to set my face with the Juvia's Place Ready Set Seal Setting Spray. So to kind of combat some of the shininess from the Juvia's Place Setting Spray, I like to apply the One Size Until Mattifying Waterproof Setting Spray on top. Alright girlies, so this is my go-to makeup look. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. Thank you all for watching, and remember, you're made for more. See you next time. Bye.